Welcome to Find Your Clear Vision, a personal branding and mindset podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Guillot. I help high-performing leaders like you reignite the connection to your highest self and design your life and brand from the inside out. I'm a blend of bright colors and deep conversations, tarot cards and strategy decks, bluegrass, and Tribe Called Quest. If you're looking to bring your fullest expression to your life, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Well, hello, friend. As always, I am so honored that you are here to spend some time with me. Today, we are deep diving into your inner platform, the shadow side work of who you're being, how you're showing up, where you're making decisions from. If you remember in episode 9, Dinora talked about identifying her spider, which is the core limiting belief that we hold as the reason why we can't be successful. It's a false story, a false theory that really hinders your next level. It holds you back. It keeps you stuck in a pattern. So today, here's what I'm going to share. I'm going to share what your spider very well could be, how to recognize when you are in your paradox pattern and what that means, and then how to choose outside of that false story and be who you need to be for you first. Because listen, to every light side out there, there is a shadow side. And your paradox pattern is the little spider collecting all the evidence to prove that false story is true. So we're going to break that up today. But first, I want to share with you two things. There was another just luminous and glowing review that I am so honored to share with you on Apple Podcasts. My friend Robin writes, "This is the podcast you need in your life. Lisa is the real deal. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a corporate exec, an artist, or a stay-at-home parent, Lisa will help you deep dive into who you are being and how you are showing up in life to help you make the inner and outer shifts to shine brighter." Ooh, I love how she's using that branded lingo there. She goes on to say, "Lisa brings warmth, humor, authenticity, and crackling smarts to her clients and listeners. Her topics range from the spiritual to super tactical, something for everyone to relate to. Listen in, you'll be glad you did." Robin, thank you so much for making my day brighter. And if you would like to write a glowing review, I would absolutely adore it. I so appreciate the 5 bright stars. And guess what, my friend? We are getting closer and closer to the beginning of the Be Bright Mastermind. This is a 5-month experience for heart-centered professional women who are ready to design their life and personal brands from the inside out. If this is speaking to you, you are welcome to pop over to bebrightlisa.com/mastermind to learn more, or you can reach out to me on the Get in Touch page of my website. I have got 3 levels of how you can join the mastermind. First level, virtually. This is how I did it all throughout 2020. And this is still available right now. This is 15 live virtual sessions with me and the group, a private one-on-one session with me. We've got guest speakers. We've got monthly themes. We've got worksheets and community. We meet virtually 3 times a month on Fridays at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if that's speaking to you, jump on it. I would love to have you be part of the mastermind. Then level 2, this is where things start to get really exciting. I am introducing a personal brand website design and launch. You can also get your personal brand website designed and launched by December 2021. So if that's speaking to you, I do have an exclusive rate only for mastermind members. And then finally, the third bonus, I'm so excited about this, is I am going to be hosting an in-person personal branding summit in Chicago in the fall. And as a member of the mastermind, if you choose to add this to your membership, you are also going to get to attend this day-long experience where we're going to do everything from connecting to your highest self through meditations. I'm also going to have my Be Bright branding team there on site to get direct feedback and help you write your, let's say, about page for your website or your bio for LinkedIn. You're going to get headshots. The designer and programmer for your website is going to be there to help you develop the colors, the typography, where text goes, putting everything into place. It's going to be real time designing, creating, getting feedback, having community there to bounce ideas off of. It's going to be so fun and exciting. So that is the next level up. You know, I always love going to the next level up. So if any of this is speaking to you, I am always a big believer of investing in yourself because that is how you grow. And if this is speaking to you, as I said, pop over to bebrightlisa.com/mastermind to learn more and apply. All right. Today, we're talking about your paradox pattern. So let's all take a deep breath because it may get uncomfortable. You may want to skip over this part. Many people do. But here's why this is an important part of your inner growth process. Without knowing what your paradox pattern is, it's going to continue to run your life. Without experiencing the dark side, we never uncover the bright, brilliant, light-filled being that is itching to come alive again, that is itching to be released. All right. Your paradox pattern is a repeating thought pattern, which manifests itself in choices, behaviors, emotions. And the more you practice this thought pattern, the more your brain actually begins to sustain a long-term neural pathway to continue the cycle. That's why we get stuck in cycles, right? Whether you're choosing the wrong job, the wrong partner, right? The wrong food late at night. When you're coming from this long-term neural pathway of these choices, there's a biochemical reaction that actually causes the brain to release chemicals that signals you to make your body feel just the way you were thinking. Okay. That's the pattern. That's the hamster wheel. So what we're going to do today is identify your flavor of your paradox pattern. And we got to look a few places to do that. So this is that dark, kind of uncomfortable, slightly triggering place that we're going to dive into. Okay. You ready? Let's do it. You may know Elizabeth Gilbert. She is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, the author of Big Magic, which I love. And she gave a TED Talk in 2009. And I just love this quote. Okay. She says, somehow we've completely internalized and accepted collectively this notion that creativity and suffering are somehow inherently linked and that artists in the end will always ultimately lead to anguish. And the question that I want to ask everybody here today is, are you guys all cool with that idea? No. No, Liz, I'm not. My guess is that you're not either. Okay. So we're going to break it up today. We are not cool with that idea of languishing. Ooh, like Adam Grant said, we are done with the languishing. I want to share with you a client of mine. So this client is a unique blend of corporate and creative. You could say that she is led by, let's call it like corporate American masculine values of overachieving and competition, drive, ambition, which has gotten her to where she is today, right? No doubt about that. She excels at strategic creative work. She's the VP of marketing. She's the go-to person for new ideas and brainstorming. So she has traditional success. She's got the accolades. She's got the letters after her name. She's got the bank account to prove, right, this level of success. She works tons of hours, has one darling little girl, a working husband. Now, she is also a perfectionist in her work and in her play. She overachieves everywhere, including her workouts, networking, children's activities, planning, and her daily glass of wine or two. Now, notice if that sounds like you anywhere. Okay. My client also has the tendency to ruminate on little things that keep her circling in her mind. And she finds herself like spending all of her brain power at work, which leaves her exhausted when she comes home to her family. And by coming home, I really mean like walking down the stairs, right? So notice like if you were going at 200% all the time and then crashing down to zero, this leaves people in your wake. It leaves people thinking, who am I going to get today? Am I going to get the 200% on, ready to go, super on fire and ambitious person I know and love? Or am I going to get the 0% drained, exhausted, ruminating paradox pattern, right? Because we know your energy comes with you into a room. All this anxious energy leaves my client overextended. And on the weekends, she needs major emotional and physical time to recover. But it comes at a cost because on the weekends is when we have to do everything, right? That's when we get all of our personal stuff done. And so there's just like this pattern that happens during the week and on weekends where, like, notice if this has ever happened to you, you're afraid of losing control or being judged. But with all of the external success you may have, you're stuck because what's gotten you to where you are today, you recognize is only going to get you more of the same. If you stay on this repeating cycle of 200% Monday through Friday, then total burnout on the weekend, hey, you don't feel grounded and you sometimes feel like you're hurrying up, but you actually don't know where you're going and you don't have a destination. That's the paradox pattern. And that's what repeats. I know my client's biggest fear is that she's only valuable because of the corporate work she does. That's the paradox pattern. Listen to this sort of sentence stem and see if you can fill in the blank for yourself. It's one of those if this, then that moments. Okay. If I win this client work, then I'll be valuable. If I try harder, then they'll love me. If I lose the weight, then I'll feel better. If I don't sleep and do all the laundry, then I'll be ready for tomorrow's meeting. And we know that one never works. So notice the identity that my client and maybe you have created for yourself, both externally and internally. Externally, my client is a powerhouse executive. She is the Olivia Pope of accounts management, right? Who wouldn't want this amazing, thriving woman in your back pocket? But at home, she's the mommy from 6 to 7 a.m. and again at bath time, but only when she comes downstairs in time. And then she's the wife from 7 to 9 before she checks her email and puts out all the fires before like crashing into a fitful sleep at 10:30, if even that. There's this false identity that is starting to crack and it scares her. But she fears that if she slows down or explores more of her inner mindset and what's actually underneath this paradox pattern, what the paradox pattern is hiding from her, she's going to lose control. And she says, if I'm not perfect, then who am I? Oof. Her spider, it's that reason that she can't be successful. And her spider tells her that she has to do everything perfectly. Then she'll be loved. Then she'll be trustworthy and promotable. Do you hear that? This little spider is doing all the work, trying to keep you safe, in line, moving towards that level of success. But we, my friends, are here to break up this paradigm. If this is how leadership has gone in the past, we want nothing of it in our future. So we need to build our inner platform now. But the question is, where did we learn this? Where did we learn this way of being? Oh my goodness. I want to share with you some of the quotable moments that have gotten us to where we are today, especially for professional women. Have you ever heard someone tell you, well, you know what? That's just how it is. Or, well, that's how I have done it, right? Or how, as a working mother, you've got 3 months and then you're expected to come back to work. And there's very little flexibility in your work schedule. And now there are no boundaries between work and home life, right? Work is up the stairs, home life is down the stairs. And many women also have very little to no domestic support from their partners. Ladies, we need to be aware of this pattern before it becomes embedded into who we are, especially now as we arise from the pandemic. Now is the time to break your paradox pattern and take control of who you are being, your boundaries, values. Use that precious word, no. It will save you from quote unquote doing it all, because we don't have to do it all. That is a false narrative. I fell for it. I 100% fell for it. But we do not have to run ourselves into the ground to prove anything. Fact, right? According to the State of Motherhood, which is a survey of over 1,000 mothers in 2021, listen to this, 92% of mothers feel society doesn't do a good job of understanding or supporting motherhood. 92%. 40% of mothers, as compared to only 27% of fathers, have added 3 or more additional hours of caregiving to their day. That is 15 or more hours a week, which is the equivalent of a considerable part-time job. During the pandemic, female workforce dropped 57% to the lowest level since 1988. This is according to the National Women's Law Center. The pandemic left most mothers, 73%, feeling like they were failing to fulfill expectations for their family. Oof. All of these statistics are from the State of Motherhood, which was that survey that was done. I'll put a link for it in the show notes for you. So we know how we got here, right? Whether it was society, cultural, generational, ancestral, trauma with a capital T or a lowercase t. Needless to say, we are here today. So how are we going to get out of it? How are we going to get out of it? How can you recognize a mindset that you have on repeat that isn't serving you? And instead, it's actually just keeping you stuck in a statistic. Oof. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to get triggered on purpose. So the intention of triggering yourself on purpose is to pull out your shadow side on purpose with purpose. We often in life present our quote unquote light side to the world. This is the happy-go-lucky version of ourselves, the everything's okay, oh, I'm just so busy version of ourselves. And we hide the rumination or that nasty voice in our head that keeps us in a negative or a fixed mindset, right? Keeps you in the loop of your paradox pattern. So what we're going to do is pull out our shadow side on purpose, because eventually using the power of language to name it, we'll be able to call it out. We'll be able to see it. So today, I want you to start to notice when you are triggered by someone or something. What do I mean by being triggered? Your heart rate raises. You get a frog in your throat. Your brain goes fuzzy. You are put on high alert. You clench your fists. You feel your shoulders tighten. The trigger often happens in your body first. Well, actually, it happens in your mind first. It's the thought. The thought triggers the body. Okay. But we don't pause to actually question the thought. That's what we need to do. So notice today, I don't want you to do it all week because we don't want to be in that funk all week long. But notice today if you get pissed, if you feel overwhelmed or resentful, bored. Boredom is a clue. Notice if you feel unsettled or out of control, judgmental, shallow, if you feel like you're not enough, if you feel exhausted. These are triggers. These are opportunities to notice what is living right beneath that thought. And they are a telltale sign that there's an opportunity to enrich and awaken your creative side. It's an opportunity to empower rather than to stay stuck. But how do we do that? How do we flip our mindset from the automatic default to that empowered, enlivened state? Because your spider is going to be reinforcing that you should be upset, right? That you should be pissed, that you should say something. And that wheel of frustration and unhappiness, it's just going to keep on turning, which actually blocks you from your creativity. It blocks you from flow and new ideas and self-awareness. So now that you've noticed your trigger, which is a contrasting feeling, I've talked about this in a previous episode, I want you to stay in the trigger just a little bit longer. Stay in that funky feeling, in that ooey gooey middle, in the uncertainty, in the, oh my God, I'm about to lose control. These feelings are gentle reminders that your ego is alive and present. That's all, right? Your ego is like, hey, poking you at the side with its claws. It's there to remind you, hey, you aren't qualified to be here. Just look at all these reasons why. Hey, you need to actually do that all yourself. Don't ask for help. You got this. You do it all yourself. Or, hey, you should in fact say yes to all those things. Otherwise, you're not going to get ahead. They won't think you're valuable. They won't think you're smart. Or how about this one? Your ego, your little spider tells you, look, see, you can't take care of your family and work. It's just too much. Who do you think you are? Ugh. It's that voice in your head. Call it your ego, your spider, your monkey mind, your lizard brain, your smaller self. It is that tiny, small voice, sometimes the loud one, in your head that's going to pack a really big punch. And friend, we have been giving it too much power. Your ego loves to create separation, right? That binary, this is right and that is wrong. It loves to have enemies. Like there's somebody out there to blame for why all these things are the way they are. And let me tell you what, this right and wrong framing blew up last year, right? When the collective global ego, our society, our government structures, what we thought was meant to serve us, crumbled. Government, healthcare, all of it crumbled. But this left us at a choice moment to continue with a broken system and to like, quote unquote, fight for the way it was. This is the way we do it. This is the way I've always done it. Or to rise from the ashes of a broken system and no longer identify with that smaller self. And guess what, friend? You can rise. And here's why. Have you met you? Listen, you are a powerful, intelligent, and creative human being. People desire to be around your energy. Your energy brings life to ideas. You can create something out of nothing. You are loved. You are lovable. You are a lover. Yes, you. You are 100% worthy of a voice, worthy of speaking your truth, of saying no or asking for help. You are worthy of drawing a line and creating a boundary. You are worthy of letting go. But my friend, my amazing friend, your smaller self downplays you. Your smaller self's probably saying, you know what, Lisa, that's nice and all, but it's not me. That's not me. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. In the previous episode, do you remember when Dinora said, if you want to be a CEO, you got to start to act like it. So that's what we're going to do. Act like it. Act like you are worthy of all of these things, whether you believe it or not. I'll believe it for you. Okay. So this week, we are starting with the foundation, simple things to start to break up that paradox pattern. I want you to sleep, nourish your body, rest, work out, eat your vitamins. Ask yourself, what does my body need from me right now? Just the basics. I want you to catch yourself in your paradox. I want you to start to notice those triggers. Notice what happened right before the trigger. That's the opportunity. Self-awareness is noticing how you make choices. And if we notice the trigger, then what you need to do is just backpedal a few moments, notice what triggered you, and that's your opportunity to choose again. A book I loved reading was by Gabrielle Bernstein, and it's called Super Attractor. I was going to say Supernatural, but that's like some CW show that my stepson loved. No. Super Attractor, Gabrielle Bernstein. And she has a really simple, elegant practice in it called choosing again. And I should have pulled it out to share exactly with you what she said. But in essence, it's self-awareness. Notice the trigger. Notice what your paradox pattern would have you do and choose again. Choose outside of that story. That is practicing growth. Practicing that growth mindset over time is going to start to break up those long-term neural pathways inside of your brain's chemistry. You can literally rewire your brain. Okay. I'm not a scientist, but sometimes I act like one on the Find Your Clear Vision podcast. Okay. We just dove really deep, and I shared a lot. Okay. I shared a lot of this inner work, and I want to invite you to spend some time finding out what your spider is, recognizing your paradox pattern, and choosing outside of that false storyline, because we need you to be more of who you are meant to be now. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Find Your Clear Vision. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe something we talked about sparked an idea, or maybe you are ready to start your journey. If so, you can find me on the contact page of my website, bebrightlisa.com, or on Instagram at bebrightlisa. If you're feeling extra luminous, please rate and review Find Your Clear Vision on Apple Podcasts. I read all of the reviews and so appreciate the 5 bright stars. Remember, you, my friend, are a dazzling light, and your clear vision is so needed. Until next time, be bright, Lisa.
This is a production of Entrepreneurial